All right. Looks like this is on. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about rocking the boat. And the point of this is to help bring awareness into the importance of, you know, basically prioritizing what you're looking for in an individual and sifting out the individuals who aren't worth your time. So, this is mostly going to be pertaining to people who are trying to be in a long-term relationship, uh, find a life partner, and or be married. To me, they're all the same, but some people just want long-term relationships but don't want a marriage, So that's the separation there. And I'm not going to be fucking worrying about people who go with the flows and something casual. Y'all just keep doing y'all bullshit. Anyways, what do I mean by rocking the boat? Well, what I mean when I say rocking the boat is you are willing to and not afraid to challenge the stranger in question. So when you're talking to someone new on the phone, before any dates have been set up, before any dates were to even happen, you should not be afraid to challenge the person on their thoughts, opinions, beliefs, interests, all of these things. You should be trying to vet the fuck out of the person. You want to be making sure that you are spending your time and or for the guys their money and time on the right people who meet what you're looking for. So, how would you know what you're looking for? Well, you should just know that. In other words, you should have already sat down with yourself and said, okay, what do I want out of a partner? What do I need? These are two separate things. What you may want versus what you need is wants is less important than needs. I think most people know that. Um, and what do I not want at all? Like, you know, you may not want this, but it's not 100% deal breaker. And then what is 100% deal breaker? So you should have four categories. You should have what you want out of a partner, what you need, what you don't really want. You would prefer not to have to deal with it, but it won't destroy you not wanting to get to know them. And the last one is your deal breakers, things that you should stick by for most occasions, no matter what. And the reason why you should have four categories is because you need to learn how to differentiate between wants and needs. You need to learn how to differentiate between deal breakers and things that are just, eh, you can live with, you would prefer to live without it, but it's not the end of the world if you had to live with it. Because a lot of people tend to confuse their wants versus their needs, which tends to be a common issue. A lot of people don't know what they want and or need, so they just, as they're getting to know someone and they're dating or whatever, in a relationship, they just throw out whatever they want and need and just make demands upon that. But you can potentially run the person rampant, trying to constantly please you, especially if they really care about you. So you want to be wise with what you're expressing to the receiver as your desires and non-desires. Also, you should be having questions prepared for most people, generic questions, depending upon the person. If you're dealing with, if you're usually dating people with children, well, you're going to have certain questions to vet out certain type of single parents versus if you're just dealing with single people with no kids, well, then you have certain questions for that. And sometimes some of the questions that you may ask people who are single and have no kids and not no single parent also would apply to people who are single parents. So, for example, are you still friends with any of your exes? Well, that applies to both people. Doesn't really matter. Now, you're more likely to, get a different answer with a single parent because depending on the type of person and who they were dealing with, they're probably still in the child's life so that they can raise the child with both of the parents. So you have to be, if that is a deal breaker for you, well, then guess what? You have to be more okay with you not dating certain single parents because not every single parent has the the mother or the father in their life with the child. So it's not that you have to completely cut out that as an option. It's just that in those situations, if it's a deal breaker and you want to mitigate the risk of falling in a case of being interested in somebody who does have children and does still communicate with their ex-partner who they birthed those children with, then you will be better off just focusing on people who are not single parents. So that's just an example of, okay, I have this question that applies to both parties. I know that this question falls under the category for you of for me as in deal breaker. And so when I ask this question, if it is a yes, then I know what I'm gonna do next. Cut your ass off. So that's what you need to do when you set up these needs, wants, don't wants, and deal breakers. And then you also need to have questions prepared. These questions are probably the most crucial aspect of this outside of knowing what your needs and wants and stuff are. And the reason why they're crucial is because if you don't know the right questions to ask, then you're going to get poor answers. If you don't know what all the right questions you should be asking, then you won't get all the answers you need. So this is why you need to take the time out to brainstorm and say, okay, based on my previous experiences, based on people I know, people I can maybe chit chat with, maybe my therapist, maybe my parents, whoever you can communicate with, you can probably get an idea of what are some pretty important questions to ask an individual that you're interested in potentially hoping that it can be long term. Um, Now, this is the part that I like to call rocking the boat. One, you're rocking the boat because as you're communicating with this person before any dates are set up and you're talking on the phone, you're probably going to be expressing your interests, your dislikes, your deal breakers, your don't wants. That's where that comes from. That tends to happen naturally as long as you're communicating with somebody who is a fairly decent conversationalist and also are openly sharing along with you. And as they share, you should also be sharing with them. This kind of goes down to being able to conversate. So texting should be the least of your concern when it comes to this. You should be focusing more on trying to have these conversations on the phone. I don't know there's a lot of benefits to texting when you are unable to talk on the phone or one or more parties don't want to talk on the phone. But at the same time, if talking on the phone is possible, especially when it comes to these types of conversations, then you should definitely want to talk on the phone. Text messages get misconstrued all the time. People take things the wrong way all the time because they don't know you. So they're going to be reading it, and whatever impression they get, that's how they're going to perceive you. So if you want to minimize, again, risk management, this is all risk management, by the way. When you call someone to ask tough questions and to communicate about things, when it comes to this type of topic, you are managing your risk because if you were to talk about it on the text messaging app, you are increasing your risk of being looked at as like an asshole, somebody who's desperate, all these things that are probably, hopefully, not you. So you want to mitigate those risks, and mitigation is best done through a call, a FaceTime video, if y'all feel more comfortable that way. So to list out a scenario of what I'm talking about when I say rocking the boat. Let's say you met, let's say in a guy's case, you met a girl on a dating app. You know, you guys hit it off, y'all chit chatting, maybe y'all chat on the app for maybe 3 days, 4 days. You're texting each other, and then you guys decide to exchange numbers. Now, you're not going to exchange numbers to be setting up no date, and you damn sure shouldn't have been setting up no date in that app. You should be, because again, we go back to risk management. You want to minimize your risk when it comes to a flake, but that's a whole different situation. So going back, assuming you didn't try to set up a date in the dating app, which I mean, sometimes it's not the end of the world, but I highly recommend against that. Once you guys exchange numbers, you should be trying to talk on the phone. You should not exchange numbers to text more. Oh, so stupid. Like, you already was on an app medium to text. That was texting. When you get the person's number, stop being a punk and change it from texting to calling. So say, hey, again, in a guy scenario, hey, when are you available to talk on the phone? You know, probably don't try to ask for that day unless you get the vibe. It is very possible. Maybe earlier that day, you guys were chit chatting. And they was like, oh, I ain't doing nothing. It's not bad if you do that. Um, but I would usually try to ask them within that current week. So let's say you got the person's number Monday. You could say, hey, um, what's your availability later this week to chat on the phone? And, if they say, oh, I'm pretty available such and such day, Friday at 8 p.m. Great. Now we wait till 8 p.m. No need to be texting them until, no need to be chit chatting so much with them until Friday. Friday comes around. You guys give each other a call. And now here's where rocking the boat comes in. Now, what you're not going to do, and this is why I probably am going to have to make a video about conversation, basic conversation skills. But what you're not going to do is, you know, call the person and then just jump straight into asking all these fucking questions that you have on this goddamn template. What you're going to do is talk like a goddamn human being. So if you call them, they answer the phone, hi, hello, blah, 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 blah. And as time goes on and you're chit chatting, what should be happening naturally though is the communication between wants, don't wants, likes, dislikes, um, needs and wants, basically likes and dislikes, needs and wants. Uh, I mean, what the fuck was I just saying? Needs and wants, deal breakers, and things that you don't want, but you're not against it existing. It's not a deal breaker for you. You're going to communicate these things throughout the natural flow of the conversation. And if you're doing shit right, and that person is also interested in actually conversating with you and being open, you could just start to go, oh, hey, as y'all chit chat, you be like, oh, you like that? Well, what else do you like? And now you're on the topic about the category of likes. And then let's say they say, oh, I like pineapple on pizza. You can be like, damn, yeah, I'm not a big fan of pineapple on pizza. Now you just share the thing that you don't like. You see what I mean? So she may know she wants pineapple on pizza, but you don't want that. That's a category. And this is what happens during natural flow of the conversation. Now, when it comes to unique issues that you want to address to vet out somebody who may not be for you, this may or may not fall into the natural flow of the conversation. Not everybody is going to be comfortable or probably are going to automatically just throw out there, hey, I have a kid, or throw out there that, hey, I just got out of a relationship. So you, as the individual, again, in this scenario, the man, should be willing to and unafraid to just ask those tough questions. Hey, did you recently get out of a relationship? Yes, I have. 3 months ago. Okay, why did it end it? These are questions that are important because it says a lot about the individual. If you're speaking to someone who just badmouths every person that they've been with, then that says a lot about them. Do you want to be that next person who they badmouth? So it tell if you're paying attention and you're not fucking around while you're listening to this person on the phone, you should be focusing on what they're saying. You can catch nuances about this person's natural behavior before they actually start displaying it to your ass months down the road. For example, sometimes people don't want to tell the full truth, but the way they're talking about the past, they end up spilling some of the truth. And you have to be very vigilant and You have to be very focused on listening to the words and how they're saying it. Are they stuttering when 30 minutes for the whole phone call? They ain't stutter one time. Pay attention to these things because it can tell you if there is some underlying information that they're not willing to share. And this can help you decide, okay, all right, I'm not against still talking to this person, but I'm gonna just keep my eyes peeled. I'm gonna be a little bit cautious, or I'm gonna keep this noted and ask this question again, maybe down the road, sometime maybe after you guys did have a few dates. So maybe they're a bit hesitant to share some things because they don't want to look like a bad person. This type of stuff happens, but at the end of the day, you should not be afraid to rock the boat. You should be willing to ask these questions as soon and as early as possible. You should also be willing to tell the person things as soon and as early as possible. For example, in a woman's case, if you are a virgin and you want to wait until marriage, do not try to pull a fast one by going on a date with a guy you really like. You didn't tell them that that's what you was on, and you wait until several days later to now one day while you chilling in the apartment with them, you're like, yeah, so I don't want to have sex till after marriage and I'm a virgin. Now you get in the case of a woman, you get a few different types of guys. You get the guy who probably will play it off and still try to sleep with you over time, or you get the guy who will say, okay, well, I respect that and that's fine, but that's not what I'm looking for. So now you wasted not only your time, but you also wasted his time. Be respectful of other people's time and be respectful of yours. Why do you want to wait that long? Okay, I get it. You might fucking like the guy, you may like the girl, but at the end of the day, if you know this is something that could potentially be a deal breaker for somebody, you should probably be better off communicating that early on before any dates are established, before any feelings get solidified, before any foundation is laid down so that you don't waste your time and they don't waste their time and emotions with your ass. Simple as that. That is rocking the boat because there is a chance that it will flip over and you won't be talking to that person no more. Simple. And that's just the way it is. You are, again, your goal is to be looking for a life partner, a person to marry, or a long term relationship. So, unless you on the casual end of this spectrum and you more on that end, and that's where you're trying to fuck around at, this doesn't apply to you. This applies to you. If you are on the casual aspect of this, then who gives a fuck? You ain't gotta talk about all this bullshit. This is for people who are trying to look for those types of people. You should be trying to get this type of information out as early as possible, receive this type of information as early as possible, so you can reduce the amount of time you waste with the wrong people. A lot of y'all spend so much fucking time with the wrong types of people, and then you walk away talking to your friends, your best friend, talking about, I want a serious relationship, I want my man, I want my woman, and all this other bullshit. But you got two, three people that you talking to that's wasting your fucking time because y'all don't mesh. But because you don't want to let them go, because you got emotionally hung up, because you allowed a foundation to be established, feelings to be solidified. So now you are more reluctant to allow that to fizzle out and for you to move on because you want to hold on to it. This is what a lot of people do. You need to start wasting your fucking time and you need to start wasting other people's time. So I'm gonna make a video on conversation skills. I think just the fundamentals. It's been a while since I had, you know, took a class on that. It's been years, but I think it's really important that people understand the importance of having good conversation skills, knowing what to talk about, and also how to talk about it so you don't look like a jackass. So, yeah, I'm gonna definitely make a video about that. And dive a bit more deeper into why it's also important to focus on you first. Now, because right now the topic in the world about when it comes to focusing on you is doing more practices that involves just you doing them, whether it's going on a hiatus, disappearing for X amount of months, or anything of that nature that it's just you trying to self heal. Well, let me be one to tell you that if I was to put this on numbers, you have a better probability and more success rate and a better experience finding a great therapist who will help you through that healing journey than trying to do this shit on your own. There's a reason why therapists still are important and they still exist to this day. If they weren't and self healing was as effective as it seems, then we wouldn't need therapists anymore. Clearly, there it goes back to the basic aspects of human beings. We're social creatures. It is better for you to socialize with someone who you can trust to conversate about things that is going on in your life and help you move forward. Doing shit on your own is the definition of stupidity, in my opinion. So look out for conversation video and look out for the therapy video. Pretty sure I'm probably going to talk about the therapy first before I get any more deeper into the important aspects of how to go about dating and finding someone that you really want to be with before, and then I'll hop into the conversations skills. So that's all I got for right now. I appreciate you watching this video. Have a good one.